we get a lot of folks that join the program, and we get to see common mistakes, okay? So this is after teaching this to a couple hundred people. These are the biggest mistakes that we see people commit over and over and over again. Like I mentioned just a second ago, sometimes it's important knowing what to do. I should say, knowing what not to do is as important as knowing what to do. Okay, folks? So let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling, okay? Like I said, look at that, I'm a mind reader. Knowing what to do is equally important as knowing what not to do, okay? So let's talk about your gap, guys. Everybody has a gap, right? So let's talk about that, folks. Do me a favor. I want you don't have to put it in the chat, but I'd like you to type or write down on your notepad or whatever you use to take notes with. And if you are not taking notes, then by all means. But what I'd like you guys to do is write down whatever your goal is over the next 12 months, okay? And then I want you to subtract out whatever you made over the last 12 months, okay? And what that'll allow you to do, guys, is be able to see the difference between where you are and where you would like to be. So we're going to go over basically the top mistakes, the do's and don'ts of commercial brokerage. All right. What's most important to understand, folks, is if you avoid the common landmines, you put yourself way ahead a whole bunch of other people. Okay. And one thing I have to recommend over and over and over again. In fact, guys, type a 1 in the chat if you've ever felt like, oh man, I call one person, I research one person, and then I call one person, and then I research one person, and then I call one person. And at the end of the day, guys, it's exhausting. And you spend 4 hours and you call about 6 numbers. That is the fastest way to burn out and say, oh man, cold calling doesn't work. You know what? You know what doesn't work? The way you were cold calling. As opposed to, what if you went out and you batched your work, okay, and you dedicated time to research before picking up the phone? Because I've done it both ways, guys, and it stinks doing it the other way, okay? It's no fun. Rebecca's with me. You know what I'm talking about, right? So what I want you guys to understand is, if you do that, you will speed up. Because what happens is, guys, Henry Ford is famous for lots of things, not the least of which was creating the assembly line. And what they learned with the assembly line is when you divide the labor up into different parcels, you get into a rhythm by doing the same thing over and over and over again. You get more efficient at it. You learn the tricks and the techniques and stuff like that to make yourself better, okay? So what I want you guys to understand is, this is no different. So if you do research, and then call, you know what winds up happening? You get to figure out some tips and tricks in research. You get to figure out the most efficient way of doing it. And then on top of all that, folks, when you do call, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get into a rhythm of calling. So don't be afraid. In fact, I would highly, highly recommend, if you are doing research, call, stop that immediately and dedicate time to do research, so that when you hit the ground running at the end of the day, or I should say, when you hit the ground running at the beginning of the day, you have plenty of numbers to call and people to serve. All right. So number 9 is not learning your contracts and paperwork cold, okay? You have to know, and the cool thing is, guys, in commercial, you need to know a couple things. You need to know, like, what is a commercial contract? What I always recommend is always use the one that your local brokerage or your local MLS recommends, like a boilerplate version. And then finally, make sure that, like, you understand, like, how to draw up, listing agreements. Okay, those are the 2 things you need for sales. You need to know a listing agreement, and you need to understand how to navigate your local MLS's commercial contract. And then on the leasing side, you got to understand a little bit about creating a listing agreement, number 1, and then maybe letters of intent. That's pretty much it, guys. And we'll get into NDAs in just a second. Not qualifying your buyers and tenants, folks. Type a 1 in the chat if anyone has ever ran you around in circles, and then they never transacted with you. I'm sure that I'm the only person that's ever happened to, right? Okay. And folks, what it comes down to is a couple of things, right? Rebecca gives me 4 1s. Yeah. So what it comes down to, folks, is they are partially at fault and you are partially at fault. I like to take full responsibility, and you know why? Because I like to know that if I accept responsibility for everything, that means everything is within my control as well, okay? So if I qualify people better next time, then maybe I'll make sure that I'm working with the right people. Because remember, folks, okay, you cannot turn chicken salad, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Just doesn't work that way, okay? You can't take a square peg and fit it into a round hole. And I know in the beginning when you don't have a lot of leads, you're gonna just try to work with anybody. But you'd be better off spending that time instead of trying to turn a square peg into a round hole, right? Well, you'd be better off doing more prospecting so you can find the right person. Does that make sense, guys? If that's a light bulb moment for you, type an exclamation point in the chat, okay? So remember, guys, not qualifying your buyers and tenants is a major issue, okay? So make sure that you are asking the right questions. I'll never forget, I don't know why it always stuck with me. I remember meeting this really nice old guy that worked at Home Depot. This is like 20 or 25 years ago. And he was talking about his grandchildren, okay? And he said to me, he said, you know, children know what they want, they don't know what they need. And that saying has just always stuck with me. And similarly, folks, okay, write this down. Buyers and tenants know what they want, they just don't know what they need. Now, how many of you type a me in the chat, right? If you've ever dealt with anybody that had champagne taste and a beer budget, right? So if you went to go out looking for buildings for that person or for spaces for that person, you're gonna show them all the really cool, nice stuff that they want. Okay, but when in reality, what they need is something that is dry, you know, is close to where they live, close to where their employees live, and they can run their business out of. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so remember, folks, one of the biggest things is not qualifying your buyers. All right, next up, folks, let's talk about not knowing what your time is worth. Okay, so here's what I'd like to do, guys. I'd like to do a little exercise with you. I want you guys to, in fact, we just did it a minute ago, write down what you would like to make in the next 12 months. Now, I want you to divide that number by 120,000, okay? Whatever you want to make in the next 12 months, okay? Cool, Shai says 600K, love it, good stuff. Now, Shai, do me a favor, we'll use yours as an example, okay? Divide by 120,000. All right, type that number in the chat. Love it. Cool. All right. What does that mean? I can tell you exactly what that means. For those of you doing this exercise, Shai's time, if he is to earn $600,000 over the next 12 months, his time, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks of the year, is worth no less than $5 per minute. I'm going to say that again. $5 per minute, okay? How did I come up with 120,000? It's easy. 50 weeks of the year times 40 hours per week, that's 2,000. And last I checked, there are 60 minutes in every hour. So take 2,000 multiply times 60 and you get 120,000. So when you take whatever it is you want to earn and you divide by 120,000 minutes there are in a year, in a 50-week 40-hour per work week year, that's what your time is worth. So Shai's time is worth $5 a minute. So folks, when you're doing this, when you're learning, step one is figure out what your time is worth. Then step two is figuring out what you can offload to someone else. Because write this down, folks. If I don't have an assistant, I am the assistant. Okay? Facts of life, guys, right? You don't have a cleaning lady, you are the cleaning lady, right? You know, if I don't have a plumber, I am the plumber, or whatever it might be, okay? But what I want you guys to understand is if you are doing things that are below your hourly rate, it's gonna drag your hourly rate down. If your time is worth $300 an hour, which is someone that wants to earn $600,000 a year, or $250 an hour, if someone that wants to earn $500,000 a year, okay? You can't afford to do anything less than $300 an hour, $250 an hour. Everything else you have to delegate out. Everything that doesn't require you, that only you and only you can do. And there are certain things that you and only you can do, okay? Very, very important to understand. You will never hit the income level you want to if you are doing if you're doing $10 and $20 and $30 an hour work. Does that make sense, guys? If that's a light bulb for you, type an exclamation point in the chat. I just want to make sure that this is landing on you, okay? Cool. Next up, just so you guys know, last week we did a little exercise, and the exercise was really cool. You know what that exercise was? Okay. That exercise was, how do I get my first deal as a commercial agent? Okay. So what I want you guys to understand is we created a free school group, SKOOL, not SCHOOL, right? And I'm going to put it in the chat. So for those of you that want a free training, how cool would it be, guys, if you got a free training that showed you how to take your first commercial deal in the next 7 days, okay? This isn't taking listings. This is finding your first commercial deal using your sphere of influence, okay? So if you guys want, like last week, I basically just gave you like a PDF, okay? For all of you that had your camera on. This week, we're going to give you an entire learning portal with about maybe 3.5 hours of training in there to teach you how to get commercial real estate deals in 7 days or less. We're going to teach you how to generate leads in 7 days or less using your sphere of influence. So if you guys are interested in that, guys, click on the link. I put it in the chat for you, okay? But because most important, right, is what I want you to understand is that the hardest part of this entire business is generating leads. Guys, in fact, I'll prove it. Type 10x in the chat, folks, that if you had 10 times more leads, you would make 10 times more money. Like if you got belly to belly with 10 times more people, you'd make at least 5 times more money. Shai says, I have a deal. Let's go, dude. Do you want another one, Shai? And another one, and another one? Click on the link, sign up for the training, and there's plenty. It's free. It's just our way of creating goodwill in the community, okay? I want to help you guys out. Sweet. All right, next up, top 10 is not creating a call list, okay? Do the night before. So here's the thing, guys. I want you to plan your day the night before. Why? Because your brain is a supercomputer. And until you use it like the supercomputer that it is, you'll never get the full efficiency out of it. So what does that mean? Very simple. Just create your to-do list the night before. Look over your list of all the things that you need to do the next day, and then go ahead and execute on them, okay? Very, very important, guys. Not knowing how to protect yourself and your commission. Folks, I have been burned before. There are less than reputable characters in the commercial real estate market. Okay, it is what it is, folks. So, you need to know how to do? You need to know how to protect yourself and your commission, okay? If you don't feel bad when you get taught a lesson, you get taken to school because you didn't know any better, okay? Very, very important. You need to know how to protect yourself and your commission. So guys, if you're looking for more information, all right, type hashtag training into the chat, all right? Very, very important, because what I want you guys to understand is the more you learn, the more you earn. It is literally that simple. This is a contact sport, and if you're not picking up the phone and making contacts every single day, you're not going to be able to maximize your earnings, okay? So next up, I cannot tell you how many times I get on the phone with people and they're like, I just need to buy some leads. I just need to buy some leads. I just need to buy. Folks, it doesn't exist in commercial. You can do it in residential. You cannot do it in commercial. But do you guys want some good news? Though you cannot buy leads in commercial, you know what you can do? We can show you in our training program, we show you how to create an endless supply of them and exactly how to follow up on them and what to say, who to reach out to, what to do to take each lead through every step of the business, okay? So quit trying to buy the business. You can't do it. You know what you have to do? You got to wake up every day for 60 to 90 minutes and make your dials. It's very, very simple. You call 50 people a day, you won't know what to do with the money that you generate in 1 to 2 years' time. Seriously. Folks, I went from 100, and this is pre-COVID, just to give you an example. Like this is like when the market was half of what it is today, okay? I went from 140 to 500 a year in 2 years, all because I picked up the phone and made 50 dials a day. Folks, if I can do it, you can too, all right? You cannot buy the business though. You have to learn the process so you can create an endless supply of leads. Let's talk about not learning to let the prospects speak, right? But you know the old saying, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should do twice as much listening as speaking. A lot of people just wait for their turn to speak, okay? The biggest thing I can say is most prospects will tell you what it takes to get their business. Most prospects will tell you everything you need if you just listen, if you just ask the right questions and listen intently, okay? So you need to let them speak and really listen. Next up, folks, chasing huge deals in the beginning, all right? Now, I cannot tell you how often this happens, right? In fact, I'm gonna do a little surprise for you. I'm gonna teach you guys exactly what it takes to close a $50 million property. Who wants to learn that? Type me in the chat if you want to learn that. If not, it's cool. It's no big deal. But who wants to know how to close a $50 million property? Better yet, who wants to know how to close an $80 or $100 million property? Ready for this? Okay, Tom's with me, Laura's with me, okay, Shai's with me, cool. Folks, it's very, very simple, right? You want to learn how to close a 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, $100 million property? Close 100 $1 million properties, 50 $1 million properties, 20 $1 million properties. You with me, folks? Everything you need to learn is on the other side of repetition, okay? If you were to go through and make a bunch of dials, and I'll give you a real world example. If you went and did 20 $1 million properties, okay, you'd have enough experience to do a $20 million property. If you did 30 $1 million properties, you'd have enough experience to do a $30 million property. Why? It's not about the size of the deal, okay? It's about the experience you get. Oh, when this falls apart, you do this. When this falls apart, you do that. Oh, I made this mistake. I won't do it again. But the only way for you to do it is to go one step at a time. I'll give you an example, folks. They did an experiment with a pottery class, on the collegiate level pottery class. And they broke the class into 2 sections. And they said to them, listen, for those of you that want to, I should say, this half of the class, all we want you to do is build the best possible clay pot that you can. It needs to just be like the best possible quality. And the other half of the class, they said, okay, we don't care about the quality. We just want you to bang out as many clay pots as you can. And guess what they found out at the end of the semester when they looked at all the work? The people that did the largest amount of volume were far and away much better quality as the people who only did 1 pot the entire semester and wanted to make it the best quality. So all you have to do, folks, everything is on the other side of practice and repetition. 10,000 hours, guys, that's what it comes down to. Make sense, everybody? Okay, so don't chase huge deals in the beginning. You'd be better off doing a small deal from A to Z than A, B, C, D, E, F, fall apart. A, B, C, D, E, fall apart. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, fall apart. You'd be much better off doing a small deal, A, B, C, D, blah, 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 all the way to Z, cashing a check, getting it paid, getting reinforced for the good work. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 100 in the chat if that makes a whole lot of sense, okay? And then finally, guys, last and absolutely not least, okay, is not having a mentor. Folks, the fastest way for you to learn how to do something is to take somebody else that has already done it and model yourself after what they have done. Why? It's called the cause and effect game, folks, okay? If something caused a good result, then the effect was success. Well, guess what? If you do that same input, you're likely to have something close to that output. You with me, guys? Okay? All right. Thanks as always for being here, guys. Thanks for having your cameras on. I very, very much appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next week. Talk to you later.